Class, this is JilMac. Right now I'm going to be talking about databases. And students know if they have any questions, they can give me a call. So the new host that we're using, and I'm going to bring this over, is called InMotion Hosting. And I've logged in. And when you log in to your shared web host, InMotion, they bring you to the AMP screen, which is the Account Management Panel screen. And what I like to do with my PHP classes and also with those who are already in my JavaScript class is to be able to give you an install for WordPress. Not so much so that you can learn WordPress from the user point of view or the administrative panel, but because I want you to look behind the scenes and I want you to see what files make up WordPress. So if we click on Install Popular Software, we have the WordPress, and we can just click that. It's an automated installation. And I just wanted to go over some of the things. It's going to give you your username, and this is what has been created for you. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can look at some things. And you are going to give it the password. And this is just the password to log into the cPanel. So let me do that. I just have to grab it. And I'll log in. Okay. Since I'm the administrator, I want to kind of show you this because you're not going to have a chance to access things from the cPanel, but I at least want you to see how we set up this. It allows us to set up the protocol. It's going to be HTTP, and what the domain is, that's kind of been already set up. But what directory do you want things put in and what your prefix is? Each student gets their own directory, but that directory is something that I see at the highest level and not something that they see. It also gives you a default name for the database. I change this name rather than just having numbers. I change the name so that it is a little bit easier for me to keep track of which databases which students have. And then you can name the WordPress site, which I usually do, and then I give it the administrative password, and emails go to me. And then I go ahead and click install, and it installs it. I'm just going to go back to my cPanel, and after the installation is complete, there's two different things I have to set up. One, in the databases, and I use the PHP MyAdmin. I could just use SQL. But PHP and MyAdmin has a few more things that make it a little bit easier. Here, I can look at the databases, and right now, let me blow this up a little bit to make it easier. So for the students this semester, I've set up their databases, and if I wanted to look in them, I'm going to look in mine. It would show me all the tables that I've created. Now, these tables marked WP are all the WordPress sites, all the WordPress tables that have been created. So all of these WPs are WordPress. And notice how there's WP users. When you click in it, you're going to see that there's one user, and that user is JilMac for this database, and it gives you a password. Now, this isn't the real password. This is an encrypted password, but if you had more users able to log into your WordPress site, you would see it. Now, there are times that I want to create my own user table, so I click on CCV users. This is one I created, and this is what the table looks like. If we looked at the structure of the table, it would show you that we also have, first name and a last name and an email and all of that kind of stuff. But because these tables are so similar, I give the table a prefix of ccv_users. We also have from our textbook in Chapter 5 where they show you how to set up your own SQL tables. And it's assuming that chapter in the book is assuming that you set up localhost. That's not a requirement for my classes because you already do that in SQL, the SQL class that CCV has. So I set up the initial databases for you, but this is what the TS user one looks like from Chapter 5. And the reason I gave it TS is that T stands for textbook and S stands for the database was named S that's used in Chapter 5. And so rather than adding a whole database just for one table, because databases are sometimes a premium for shared web hosting. Sometimes you only get one or two databases. And if you're just going to create a couple of tables, there's no reason to create a separate database. You can put those additional tables right in WordPress. And for a lot of extensions and different customizations that you might be doing with WordPress, you're going to create your own tables anyways. So this is what if I go to structure, this is what the TS users table looks like. There's also a TF for another database that was created in Chapter 5, but I just called it TF because the name of it, I believe, was Forms. And if we look at the structure of that, it shows you, that username is a variable character 30, and password is a character of 40, and first name is a variable character of 20, kind of all that stuff. But I wanted to just give you a little example of that. And if we wanted to look at maybe the messages, if we select the messages, this is what that might look like. And we can, let me grab that SQL code, and I'm going to go into my SQL, and here basically it's the same code. Select asterisk from the TF messages, and let's click the Go button. And when it does, it brings up all the different records that you have. Now, we can insert or export or import and do different things in SQL. I can also, let's see, where is it? Oh, it's not on this screen. Sometimes they'll allow you to generate. So if I were to go ahead and go, they will tell you to generate, right here, create PHP code. Suppose we wanted this same SQL code, only we wanted to put it in our PHP. Because you as the students are going to be doing all of these queries, but you'll be doing it within PHP code. So if I wanted to create the PHP code in my MySQL, this is the PHP code that you would be using. So that's what it looks like with the PHP code, and here's what it looks like without the PHP code. So basically, the PHP code, let me blow this up even more. The PHP code just puts in this $SQL equals quote, and then it ends with the quote semicolon. So this is the PHP code to do a SQL statement. And we'll be going over that in Chapter 9. So let's look a little bit at some of the examples in Chapter 9. Maybe I'll just end this and I'll start a new Chapter 9. So that's kind of how the data gets into the databases when JilMac is setting it up for the CCV classes. Thank you very much.